Um, People call me Miss Vic, but you just can just call me Victoria. So before I dive into some of the things I would like to share with everyone today, I want to know the category of persons on this call. So please respond to me. If you are um, new to tech, like you don't have a tech background, you are coming from a non-tech career to a tech, field. Just I don't know, just do a wave or just drop emojis in the comments. Just on the stage. So just wave at me. Okay, Ruth. Or you can just drop, comments. You just drop an emoji in the comments. All right. The second category of people is if you're a student, right? Or you're just finishing school and you literally just want starting out newly on a career path. You just drop, reactions in the comments. You just want to like have an idea of persons I'm going to be talking with. Then the third category of persons is if you are right where you are switching careers. Majorly, you're coming from an experienced background. You've had a past work experience, or you're currently on a particular job that has nothing to do with, maybe the next one you are trying to explore. Maybe it's non tech on tech. You can just like react in the comment as well. All right, so I'll be waiting for that, but let me just get started. Um, okay, so when I saw the topic for today, it was quite interesting because one of the things that fascinates me is people's interest in, exploring new paths, new fields in their career. So I would say that most of us here on this call, we are probably on the crossroad. Either we're trying to figure out the roadmap to, to move on to the next level of our career, or we want to like really position ourselves well, make the best or make the most of what we have at the moment. So it's really fascinates me a lot because now also give me the opportunity to share my own story and to also connect with everyone that I'm engaging with. So I'm going to start off with, okay, how did I start in tech? I'm not going to bore you with long stories, but I'm just going to like just go straight to bullet points. First of all, I'm going to talk about how curiosity and self-learning helped me to start. Emphasis on help me to start, right? Because a lot of us assume that when it comes to career journeys or career guidance or career aspirations, we expect or we anticipate that there will be people that would hold us by the hand, right? Like there's going to be a lot of hand holding on the journey, but the reality is that there may not be. And so that is where curiosity and self learning comes to play. For me, I am someone that's super curious. I ask questions a lot. I always like figuring things out. I think I would say I'm more of a logical person with some level of emotional intelligence. And so that kind of really helps to tailor my curiosity in the right direction. There are people that are curious with for the wrong things, right? But then when you're able to maturely tailor your curiosity to drive results for you, well, that is a positive that always brings a positive outcome for you. So starting out in tech, I was coming from a non-tech background. I wouldn't necessarily say non-tech. My dad was an architect. I've always been surrounded by you know with creative people, and oddly, my brothers have always been in tech, right? But somehow I didn't really have that interest, right? Just simply because my brothers were already in tech, right? I don't know, my brother is a designer, the other is a software and developer. So, but it didn't really prick my interest, as it were, up until when I started having questions about what do I see myself doing with this job I have. At the time, I was trying to see if I can grow my earnings as an estate, as a real estate agent, because I studied estate management in school. And the way the career progression of estate management is you need to have your seal, you need to be licensed, you have to write a lot of exams and be a chartered surveyor. right? You have to be a chartered surveyor for you to even start having good earnings. Or you can just, plug yourself to any well-to-do real estate companies and try to just make do with what comes by. But I wasn't looking forward to that kind of lifestyle. Although later in the future, I'm still going to come back to invest in real estate, but for a start, right? Especially coming from a background that had limited privilege and I had limited access to opportunities, I needed to figure out what I really wanted to do. And so that is where the whole curiosity and asking a lot of questions started coming into play. Now, the reason why I'm emphasizing on asking questions, especially asking the right questions, is because over the past three years that I've engaged with a lot of talents, they don't even know what questions to ask. Okay, you are interested in a no code skill, in a tech skill. How does that apply? How does that align to where what you want to achieve with your life? Right? What do you have right now? What can you make do with it right now? And so when I ask them this question, it just literally opens up a new world of, oh my God, I've not thought about this. Oh, I've not thought about this yet. And so that's the reason why I'm going to be emphasizing a lot about asking the right questions. Why is this so? Because it really brings clarity to you. You're literally at a crossroad where you want to decide on what path to pursue for the next 3 to 5 years. You don't want to look back and be wondering, oh my God, I wasted my time. Because I mean, a lot of us went to school, but I bet you most of us are not practicing or are not pursuing the career path of what we studied back in school. Like me, for example, I'm not a practicing real estate surveyor. All right. So after I abandoned that path to becoming a real estate surveyor, I stepped into customer experience. And the reason why I found myself in customer experience was because I took a test or like a quiz, right, about understanding my personality. Again, remember I told you about being curious. I really wanted to understand myself. I wanted to understand what are these things, what are the things that resonates with me that if I start doing, I won't be doing out of compulsion or out of obligation, but I'll be doing it because I'm passionate about it and I'm having fun doing it, and it comes natural to me, right? So I took that quiz, and I think it was around the time I was applying for a graduate training opening at Shell one time. I think it was 2000 and I think it was 2017. Yeah, when I was applying. So I came across this personality test. And when I got the results, I downloaded it. I went to study it, read a lot about it. And, that kind of really took my self awareness to a whole new level. I discovered that, oh my God, I'm someone that has so much empathy. I have so much empathy to give. I know how to step into other people's shoes in a way that really opens up, that aspect of feeling like, oh my God, there's someone that understands me so well. And so I started exploring what are the career paths that helps me to express this side of myself. And then CX came into play, like CX. And so I started exploring CX. But then it didn't take me long to discover that, oh, there's more. There's more to this empathy thing that I have. And so with the help of my boss, he helped me to navigate that part, introduced me to front-end development, introduced me to Figma, and this is where self-learning took over, because my boss is a very busy person. I didn't really have like a mentor to say, okay, this is the way to go. My boss just simply just tell me, yeah, open Figma, play with it, come back and tell me what you find out. Or you just send me W3 schools tutorials and said, go and learn HTML, CSS, and then he will give me a task, and then I bring it back to him, and then he will just give me updates. And this happened like almost like 3 times or 4 times in a year, for you to know how busy my boss was. But he was someone that took interest in me, saw me as a very creative person, and just felt the need to invest his time, right? But then the bulk of the work still fell on my laps. I had to do a lot of self-learning, right? But then I also knew that was still not enough. Why? Because I knew for a fact that organizations, companies that are looking to employ skilled employees are looking for people that understand structure, are looking for people that also understand industry standard approach to delivering outcomes, delivering results. So even with all of my self-learning drive, I was still searching for a structured way to help me track that I'm on the right path. To really literally help me find, as in, just give me that confidence that okay, whatever it is I am doing, right, it's is relevant to the industry that I'm trying to gain access to, and that is positioning me in the market the right way. So yes, self-learning is great. Self-learning is actually great for starts, right? Because and then it's actually something that keeps you going for the long haul. Why? Because the technology landscape is ever evolving. So if you stop learning, you're going to be outdated in the next minute. I mean, yesterday we saw the news that OpenAI has released Sora. Sora that translates text to videos. Well, last month we didn't know anything like that. So if you're not someone that is giving to a lot of continuous and learning, have that muzzle for self-learning, you're not really going to last long on any career path. And that's the truth. It has nothing. It's not only applicable to the tech space. Any career path, if you don't have self-learning as your strongest suit or as a muscle that you build over time, you're never going to last long in any career path. You easily get frustrated and want to jump ship so quickly, right? So if you're someone that is aiming to be an expert in a field before exploring other fields, self-learning is something that you need to build. It's a muscle that you need to have. It really brings up that resilience. Sorry, please, can we mute? Thank you. All right, so moving on to down my storyline. So I started that way, right, with my self-learning muscle. And so because I was also curious for finding the right way to prepare myself for the market, for the job market. I mean, I've worked with companies. I know what they look out for in candidates. I've actually witnessed how recruitment and interviews go. So I've always been very particular about those kind of protocols or those kind of processes. So I came across someone who introduced me to UX because he was aware that I'm very big on research. Of course, because I had good a very brilliant outcome with my final year projects. So since then, everyone thought that, oh, I was going to end up being a researcher, right? Because I'm really big on research. Now, that brings me, I'm going to actually touch base on that later when I'm talking about the foundations that you need to have as a product designer. So I started out exploring UX when I was introduced. I said, "Oh, you're very good with research. Why not, figure out? Why not explore this?" And I mean, you already have a CX skill, right? So he was telling me about how to highlight my transferable skills if I was looking to, explore these aspects and position myself for the job market. Because at that time, 2018, 2019, I was not job hunting. All right. I didn't do like, oh, after 3 months of boot camp, I'll now start looking for jobs. No, I was very convinced in myself that my 3 months learning or the self-learning I've been having so far is not enough to actually land me a decent job in the tech space. And why did I feel that way? And like again, I've explained, it's because I was already aware or exposed to how um, industry hires is like, right? So fast forward to when I started learning brand design. So I took up courses and took up a lot of courses on brand design, coupled with, and the reason why I went for brand design is because brand design is a combination of customer experience, user research, and market research, right? So I went for that, and I thought, oh, that was where I was going to be. But then I discovered I was still yearning for more, and so um by the time it was 2020, 2021, I finally stumbled on a structured learning path. I think my first contact with that was when I came across an article that says a roadmap. I said, oh, so there is a roadmap. Wow, that's amazing. And so I sat down with that article. I ate it as much as I could. And then I used that to now plan my 1 year. So from one whole year, I was doing a lot of learning, structured learning. So I enrolled at Zurich, and because I took the opportunity to also network, right? During Zuri, I landed my first product design gig. This is not my first job as a tech person, as a designer, because remember I said I was already pursuing brand design as it were. So I already started getting jobs as it were, but I wasn't really applying for full-time roles, right? Of course, there are small businesses, SMEs that look out for services like this. So in a way, because I already had like a business entrepreneurial mindset, I had this way of reaching out to people and say, "Oh, this is what I do. I can do packaging design for your product. I know things like that." So I was doing that by the side. So it was more like a side also for me at that then. But I knew that I had to do that first because I needed to eat. I needed to pay bills, right? So, but then that was not going to be the end of the road for me. I needed to secure something that would help me grow on the career ladder. Remember, uh, our convener said something about how you are able to grow on the career ladder in the tech space. You can start out as an intern. You can start out, and once you start as an intern, you can go up the ladder to a junior level role, senior level role, managerial level role, and executive level role, right? So if as a product designer, you're starting out as an intern and you step into the entry level to junior level roles as a junior designer, and then there's mid level. Mid level is like you're neither here nor there, but at least you have experience. And I don't like that phase. That phase is usually between 2 to 4 years. So 3 years, 4 years. You're kind of mid level. You're neither here nor there. Like you have the potentials to be a senior, but you're not yet a senior. So what do you do then? One thing I learned from one of my mentors is that as a mid-level product designer, start taking proactive steps to um be a part of deliverables that you know is senior level people that are supposed to do it. So if you're working a senior level person, you want to plug yourself to that person, attach yourself to that person, right? If you are the only designer in a company, you want to start taking up initiatives as a senior level person. And to even figure out what a senior level person does, you want to even figure out, find out, ask questions around. Oh, what are the things a senior level person what are these the roles, not skills now, the roles and responsibilities a senior level person is most concerned with? Well, let me tell you, as a senior level person, product designer, you are not going to be supervised on anything. You're going to have zero supervision on all of your product decisions that might either cost the company money or get the company to make more money. So you're at the level where it's quite sensitive to the business. So that's why it's not just anybody that can just be a senior. You have to have proven record. And one of the proven records is that you'd have to have a live product that's already gaining traction. So there are many things that you want to figure out as you plan, or plan your progress and how and what it is you need to leverage as you go up the ladder. But then for this purpose of this session, I'm just going to be focusing on how to acquire, right? Since that is really the theme here, not necessarily how to to progress forward. I'm just going to touch base on that at the end. So now, so told you about how I started. So it was really a rough patch, but two things really helps me going: my curiosity and my muscle for continuous learning. So how do you start out to position yourself to acquire a tech job as a product designer? The first thing you need to do is build your foundation. This is not cliche. I am sure you probably have heard it so many places, but this is not cliche. If a house does not have a foundation, where how will it stand? Right? If a house does not have a foundation, how will it stand? How will a story building ever come to exist without a foundation? And there are different types of foundation. Sorry, I'm sounding like, because I studied estate management. Anyways, there are different types of foundation. We have the pile foundation, we have the raft foundation, and all of those things. So now, depending on how far you want to go, that's what determine the kind of foundation you lay. Oh, sorry, the kind of foundation you lay. Sorry, let me say it correctly. The kind of foundation you lay, the type of foundation you lay will determine how far you go. So if you lay a raft foundation, you are most likely to just have a bungalow or a 2-story building, or at most a 3-story building. And that is even if you lay the foundation on a good soil. If you lay the raft foundation on an environment that is prone to landslide, sorry, your building is gone for. But if you choose to lay a type of foundation where we call pi foundation, you can build a skyscraper on that. And so how you build your foundation matters. And that drives this helps me to drive on what I was saying about how self-learning is great, but let me tell you the most excellent, a more excellent way is combining that your self-learning muscle with a structured way of growing, with roadmaps. And these roadmaps literally are reflections or pointers to what industry demands from your skill as a product designer and how to leverage on that career path. What are the competency gaps you need to close? So how you lay your foundation matters. And what are these foundations? Again, it might sound cliche, but this is very fundamental. Learn design principles. You will always use design principles 20 years from now. Design principles are embedded in human psychology. How we do what we do, how we experience what we experience. What are the things, the non-negotiables as to how we perceive the world around us? They are embedded in design principles. So ensuring that at your foundation, at the start of your career as a product designer, you want to have a good grasp. And to be honest, the reality is that you will not know everything. I mean, UX laws. Let me see if I still have it on my laptop. The UX laws that I have. Oh, okay. I've changed my wallpaper. They're like over the one that is most common, right? We have 10 UX laws, and that 10 alone. Me, for example, I only actively apply like 3 to 5. I know the 10, but I actively apply like 3 to 5 laws in my work, in my daily, day in, day out. And that's because it's the level of projects that I've exposed myself to, the caliber of projects I've, dipped my hand into. I've not explored other kinds of projects or products that might demand other types of UX laws or principles. But having that mindset that, hey, there are design principles to learn, and then the ones you can have a good grasp on, do so. There are common ones, most essential ones that you need to know. If you don't know it, you are not a product designer, regardless of whether you have 2 years experience or 3 years experience. If you don't have a good foundation, you cannot really call yourself a product designer. Do you know what a product designer is? A product designer is a person, a professional expert in delivering solutions, digital solutions to real problems. You are not creating a separate world entirely. You are pretty much taking the world as it is and trying to make it better, trying to improve, innovate on how we do things better to achieve better results. And these are embedded in principles. Yes, principles are there to guide, but you know that experts can bend it as well because they've known it so well to the point where they can now bend the rules. But if you ask yourself at this stage of career level of knowledge I have as a product designer, do I know what I know well enough to even bend the rules? If someone comes and asks me, okay, why did you make this decision here on this landing page? Can you tell why? Can you also connect your decisions to business impact? That's really the extent of what it is to be a product designer. It doesn't stop in Figma. It doesn't stop in design tools. Your decisions as a product designer either mars or makes a business, either mars or makes a human experiences. And so these foundations are important. Also, being someone that is so big on research. Like I said, I used to tell my mentees, see, if you are not sure of anything, if you are not even sure of your decision as the designer, like if you're working on a project or something, you're not sure of why you even did what you did. As long as you research, you can easily fault research. You can easily blame research and say, because I researched it and discovered that, we can do this way. And you use that as your defense. But if you think that you are the alpha and the omega of this particular product and you have the authority to direct it as however you please, the consequence of the failure or the success of that product will hit you big. So having this foundation is very, very important. And then the third one on this foundation point is having a good understanding of the basic concepts of UI. I get that a lot of people as more, especially when you're someone that has so much empathy aspect, you can conceptualize, you can talk, take an idea and break it down break it in a way that is explainable and is presentable and all of that. You can make use of a lot of UX artifacts to describe the experience using user flows, mapping out the user journeys and all of those things. But when it now comes to Open Figma, translate all of those things to what we can see. That's where the problem lies. It's totally fine if you're not someone that has visual strength. Not everybody has visual strength, right? And so if you are someone that is trying to pursue a career in product design, you cannot do without having a good visual strength. Good, as in being able to see an idea and you can imagine how it will look like on a screen. But if you know for a fact that visual strength is not where you excel in, just stick to being a UX designer, stick to being a UX strategist, UX manager, and all of that. There, you're not necessarily required to do, put a lot of aesthetics to what you do. You're not necessarily expected to, have to visually demonstrate the solutions you are preferring, right? But that also means that you're going to be working a lot with UI designers or working a lot of product designers. But as a product designer, you are expected to have the strengths of both a UI and a UX skills. So think about it. Why do I want to pursue product design? Do I have strong visuals? Can I literally imagine concepts? Can I imagine abstracts and bring it out to life in a form of digital visuals, right? Or do I really do well sitting down with research and expanding on user stories, expanding on user journeys, and all of that? So these are the questions you really want to ask yourself. Now, moving on, how do you start out to acquire a tech job? One of the biggest things that I'm so big, I'm so like an advocate for is community. You cannot run this journey on your own. You would dry out fast. And that's one thing I learned in the hard way. I was really pushing. If you remember, I said I was self-learning on my own. The only person that I had access to were my boss and my brothers, and then a few other persons. But then they didn't really have time. My brothers are really busy people. My boss was a really busy person. But when I found a community after joining Zuri, it's really changed my experience totally. Why? Because I know that any time of the day, I can just drop a question and anybody, anywhere that is available can provide me with the answer. So community is big. Join communities, join workshops like you're doing now, attending workshops, attending webinars, and connect with people. This also gives you a form of leverage because it is who we know that we give job recommendations to. Hope you know that. And all these job applications you see online, 88% of the time they already have someone to fill that role, and is most of the time from recommendations. So except in some cases where just as part of the protocol, or maybe they don't even have anybody to fill the role at the time, then they have to go through all the applications, interview. And most of the times companies do this just to freshen up their database, so that in case in the future they need a talent that they've tried before, they just go to their pool of talent information and then pick you. That's why you hear quote unquote testimonies that, oh, a job that I applied for a long time ago, they just called me out of the blues. It's not out of the blues. They have interviewed you before. You were already part of their pool, and now they needed you, so they went there, picked you out, and gave you a call and said, "Oh, are you available for a chat?" And then the next thing they're saying, "Oh, how can you resume immediately?" That is the reality. And I'm saying this even as someone that works in the recruitment industry, right? Dragnet Solutions is a reputable company in that recruitment space. So we know how these things are. So most of the time when we receive requests from companies, we are very much aware that they already have recommendations. And in most cases, they will send us their requests along with recommended candidates. And how are these recommended candidates? How did they how did they come about the information of the recommended candidate? It's somebody that somebody somewhere that recommended them, that send them the recommendation. Oh, I know somebody that can do this job. I know someone so communities offers you that opportunity to position yourself. Remember, you're just starting out, you don't know anybody. Even if you know people, do they even know what you do? So communities is actually a way to help, that propels you to acquiring a tech job. So as I round up, um, start small but dream big. Start small but dream big. You don't see someone that has 10 years experience in product design, and then you that are just starting out with 6 months, you're already sweating. Oh my God, see this person's, oh my God, this person is so, or you don't have experience yet. This person has gone through the grind to get to where he is today. But yes, start small. Remember, this is what I have now. I will make do with what I have now to get to where I'm going next. Of course, why you think that way, make sure you have at the back of your mind the big dream you are going towards, right? I know a lot of people that they have their role models up there, and you're like, oh, this is the level I want to become. It's great. And but at the same time, ensure that you are not missing out on your process. So what do I mean by start small but dream big? Don't wait for perfection. Progress is better than perfection. As long as you're making progress, there's one thing that one of my mentors say. When you try something the first time, it will never be good. Your first trial will always be bad. Your first trial at anything and everything in this world will always be bad. What makes you an expert is when you keep going at it every single day. You keep going at it. And consistency does not mean you are giving your 100% every day. Consistency simply means you are showing up every day. You keep showing up every day for that your career journey. So start small but dream big. Don't wait for perfection. And in the process of doing so, ensure that you already have a tool that showcases your skills to the world. People be wondering, oh, nobody's vision, I cannot land a job. Do you have a working portfolio? What is in the portfolio that is telling your story to the world, that is telling people that you know what you do, you know it very well? Because I'm sure a lot of people are complaining about companies are looking for experienced interns. Well, the reality is that at least you have some level of experience. What they really mean is that at least they should see that you have your foot out the door. Make use of concept projects, but you do your concept projects as though they are real projects. The senior product designer that worked at Netflix, that's his story. He does all his, when he first started his initial portfolio, because his portfolio now is way bigger. More, of course. I mean, having Netflix on your portfolio is all that you need. But when he was starting out, he did all of his concept projects. He didn't have live projects to work with. He didn't have real projects to gain experience on. But all that he was learning about how product design impacts business, how product design impacts growth metrics, and all of those things, he imputed them into his case studies. So when he's dishing out concept projects in form of case studies, he's able to show those things. And I'm not saying those generic problem statements, user flow, Jonathan, you'll now be showing your prototypes. No, not that kind of case studies. Case studies that tell you story of what it is that the problem you saw and how you solve that problem. Two things nowadays that the recruiters look out for in case studies. What was the problem? Why should we care? How did you solve it? What is the impact of the solution? What is the problem? Why should we care? How did you solve it? What is the impact of the solution on this business? Take these 4 elements, go back, look through how you now going to reposition or represent the way you work. Showcase your skills with good portfolio. Is not who you are. Portfolio is a tool that sells you behind closed doors. So you should be able to tell your story accurately. All right. So I think I'm just going to pause here and then allow for questions. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you so much. That was an amazing session. So, do you have any question from anyone who is interested in venturing into a career in product design? This is the best time for you to ask your questions so you can get all the feedback from all your answers from Victoria. So I'm going to just wait for a few minutes and see if we'll get any answers. This is the only time Victoria would answer questions. So if you're looking to venture into a career in product design, please ask your questions now. Okay. Lebechi, was that a
I thought I saw
mistake?
someone and okay,
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Victoria. Um,
welcome.
I know that you talked about getting into product design, but I just want to ask something. So, if somebody wants to get into tech sales, how does the person build their portfolio? Seeing that it's also a very new niche and there are not enough companies hiring from entry entry level. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to know. How will somebody build their portfolio to start up in tech sales? Thank you.
All right, that's a good question. So I'm just going to quickly respond. Boot camps and internship programs provide the opportunity for you to build your portfolio. So if you are enrolled at boot camps or internship programs, take them seriously and ensure you complete them, because at the end of such boot camps and internship programs, you will be involved in projects that would add up to your portfolio. And one thing is that if you're doing boot camps with, I mean, names, organizations that already have a reputable name, I mean, it gives some sort of it gives your portfolio some level of audience to recruiters. So take advantage of boot camps, internship programs, the projects that they do. Enroll at learning platforms on learning platforms. For example, the Google UX certification provides at least, I think it's 3 projects that you have to complete, right? Yeah, I think it's 3 projects you have to come. And imagine having those three projects in your portfolio. Those are really the active or realistic way to build portfolios. You don't have to start scouting for projects on your own. Take advantage of these boot camps, internship programs, or courses you enroll on, and use those projects to build your portfolio.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, someone asked, please, can you kindly repeat the 4 things you said? Okay, the 4 things I said was concerning building your portfolio again, but this time around in the way you present your case study that gets the attention of recruiters, because recruiters do not have time. So the 4 things I said is, number one, tell the story of the what am I saying? What is the problem? That's number one. What is the problem? Number two, why should we care? The we are the people that are going to read your case study. The people, it could be investors, recruiters. Your audience or the target audience of your portfolio are not fellow designers or colleagues. They are recruiters, employers. So why should they care about this problem? Why is the problem important in the first place? Right? Then number three is, how did you solve it? In this section, you're not just showing prototypes. You're strategically using annotations to show, okay, this problem one, this is how I solved it. You show the screens or you show the flow and you explain it. Or you simply put video video prototyping that shows the interactions of how that problem was solved. So problem one, solution one, this is how it was. Problem two, solution two. Problem three, solution three. Not packing prototype mock-ups, filling your case study, right? Then the fourth one is, how does this impact the business? That's why you talk. That's why you now showcase usability testing. Okay, when you tested it with people, it can be just 2 persons, can be just 5 persons. You test your designs with, you come back with the results. You display the results. You display and you ask the right questions. Okay, will they pay to use the app? Will they subscribe for it? How much are they willing to pay? And then what is the projection in the next? So there are all these insights you can find on the internet. So if you are building a product, if you are working on a product solution within fintech space, you can find statistics online. that tells of a projection in the next 5 years, and use that to defend your, oh, how does this solution impact the business? Oh, you can drive home and say, drive your points home by saying, oh, this is going to impact the business because of what is being projected in the industry in the next 5 years. So this is what recruiters look for, or majorly employers look for. What is the problem? Why should we care? How did you solve it? What is the impact on the business? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you so much. You even answered a question that wasn't relating to product design, and I want to thank you so much for providing that perspective to that. Yes, definitely, boot camps would definitely help you in terms of developing a portfolio. But there are some boot camps that even allow you to work on real life projects and all of that. So, and there are some communities that also that you can belong that would allow you be able to build your portfolio. For example, with Stratpar, we have the GTST Hub, the Global Tech Sales Talent Hub. That hub basically is for those who are tech sales talents, or who are tech sales talent. That's executives, both new, junior, and executive tech sales experts. So in that community, we provide trainings as well as provide opportunities, part-time, full-time, as well as freelance gigs if you're looking to that as well. So that's a community that you can also explore if you are looking to become a tech sales talent as well. And academia also have a tech sales masterclass that is also going to be coming up. The class will kick off soon as well. So you can join to BIM. My team member already put up the WhatsApp community for academia. So you can join the WhatsApp community for academia, and then all of those updates would be shared there this week as well. So thank you very much, Victoria. That was a mind-blowing session, and I most really appreciate the fact that you talked about what is the problem and why should we care. And I love the last how we mentioned how does this impact the business, because not every product designer always want to look at the business side of the design. You just want to look, let's make something beautiful. Everybody just wants to make something beautiful, right? So you have, but as a product designer, you have to look at the business side, look at the business side, look at your customer as well. So you're looking at your customer, you're also looking at the business. So you have to ensure that the products that you're designing, that you're working on, services meet the needs of the customer, as well as ensures that the business also meets their goals, right? So you have to look at that as well. So because there are a lot of designs that might not even, people might not have. I've seen a lot of products that once I see them, like, it doesn't really, the user flow, the user experience, it's not really solid. So I just stop using the app. So your design can actually increase churn rates. If care is not taken, I might decrease it as well. I know people tell me that they just downloaded that app because it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful. They've never talked about the functionalities of the app, but because that app is beautiful, the user experience is solid, is on point, and the colors were not all to your face. The buttons were solid and beautiful, and were easy to read, because you have to also understand your users. So because if you're designing a product and you're not considering people who are short-sighted, and your buttons are the text of your buttons are very, very small, and you can't even read it. That means that you've already reduced the potential, your user influence. So you have to consider every single individual, every single person. And that is where I think she also mentioned the part of when doing your user research, your UX research, you have to research on your users, understand who your users are, how they behave, what are things that appeals to them. Even colors as well, colors that you use in your designs as well also helps people, also appeals to people. Even the fonts, typography, and all of those things, things that are, even the font size. So there are a lot of things that goes into design that she has mentioned, she has summarized today. I just hope that everyone is taking notes, and I hope that you've learned something with this session. So we will be having an intensive class as well. So you can just join the WhatsApp community, and then you can learn and to get hands-on experience on how to become a product design, sorry. So then we have another session right now. So for those who are looking to explore a career in product management, and that particular session will be facilitated by Israel Ayodele, who is a Chief Product Officer at Launch Logic. So Israel, are you ready for us now?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Is my audio great?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. Thank you very much, Israel, for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for um, the opportunity to be speaking to everybody or speaking with everybody today. Um, I think I like to start by saying that Victoria's session was incredible, was great. Someone is raising their hand.
Yeah, please, baby current, you can put in your comments in the chat section, and then we'll take it afterwards. I'm guessing that's basically for product design. So, Israel, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, Victoria's session was great. It was incredible. Spoke a lot about how she started, and I think for me, I picked the part where she talked a lot about passion. And um, well, I think during today's session, I'm supposed to talk about how I got started, what strategies I was able to employ or to use that helped me gain significant advantage, and then what I could, you know, what strategies people that are looking to get into product marketing, what strategies they can employ, how they can make plans, or what they should look out for, what they can, look at or focus on to help them, better or get better career opportunities as they progress in product management. So I think I like to start by saying that today's session is, of course, I am supposed to share my experiences. So I am going to speak a lot about my personal experiences, and I am hoping that for everybody that is here today, it is able to help you find some clarity, particularly in product management. Also, if you are it's not essentially a guide, or it's not a stamp, rather, it's just a guide. It's not, my experiences are not, or the strategies I was able to employ, or how I thought about things, or how I think through things, is not essentially what might work for everybody, but I am hoping that it provides some sort of guide. If you're doing something similar already, you will look at, you could probably continue with that, and it could help you, um, uh, you know, understand that you are probably on the right path, because it helps. It worked for somebody that's me, and it could work for you. If you probably need to tweak a little more, or tweak some more things, you can do that. Of course, that's what product management is all about. So I think I like to start by, you know, my own, sharing my own personal experience by mentioning, or going through, how it started for me. And then I think from there, I'll go to the things I did, and also try to just give you some suggestions on what you could do if you're looking to start your careers in product management, or if you're looking to transition from other fields, product design, marketing, if whatever field you might be in right now, you want to transition into product management, I would share just a few suggestions that hopefully would help you find the right path, of, establish the right pathway for you in your career journey. So I I am someone who kind of has the ability to do a lot of things. I have done a lot of things. I am currently doing a lot of things. I have founded organizations or companies. I have co-founded companies. I have worked in organizations. I have done a ton of things that, whilst Victoria was talking, I was just trying to think through, some of the things I've done, and I was like, oh wow, okay, I've actually done quite a number of things, and I have dabbled into almost every field, not all, almost. I mean, let me not say almost. A lot of fields, basically because of curiosity, just like Victoria mentioned, and also for the fact that I have discovered that I have the capacity or the capability to actually take on a lot of things, multiple things, and I found that I had the potential to be excellent at whatever it was I was going to do at that point, because I just like to pour myself into whatever it was I was doing or whatever it is I am doing. So when I was younger, I imagined I was going to do a lot of things. For example, there was a time or at some point I wanted to be an electrical engineer because I had that natural instinct to fix things, and I did. So I went through dismantling or decoupling electronics to putting them back together, and then they worked. The ones that were not working, I fixed them. Then I moved on to, at some point I started looking into mechanical engineering, and I was fascinated by how cars worked and how car engines worked. And I tried a little bit, tried to study a little bit about that personally. Then at some point, I went into computer engineering. I actually did trainings on that, fixed computers. Then, I moved on from that again. So I figured I could do a lot of things. Then at some point, I began to look at it that if I focus on just one thing, it would stop me from doing all of the other things that I could do. So I decided the best thing for me, at first, I wanted to work in a bank. I think when I was about finishing my secondary school education, I was thinking of, oh, I should work in a bank because I kind of like the corporate lifestyle, the professional look, and etc. So I wanted to do that. Then again, I found this might limit me from probably doing a lot of other things. Then I did some architecture. I sketched some things, some buildings, did some plannings and whatnot. All of this, a lot of it I did on my own. Some I got some guidance from, of course, the architectural part. It wasn't a lot of, the professional part, but I could put things together that normally, without going through a lot of trainings, I shouldn't have been able to do that. So but then I didn't want something that would restrict me to just focusing on one part, because it was going to frustrate me at the end of the day when I see things that I would naturally want to get interested in, and I am unable to do those things because, of course, I am somewhat limited by what I was pursuing at that time. So I decided, okay, I think the best thing would be to go into management. So it now depended on what kind of management I could do, I was going to do. So I have done, since I started management, I've done gone into tech sales, I've done business development, I've done product marketing, I've done marketing at some point, I've done I've done partnerships, which I kind of find very intriguing even till now. I've done product design, so I can't do product design. Majorly, I am more focused on UX. Then at some point, I dabbled into back-end engineering. So I think all of these things helped me understand the entire thing that you need to know in a product, or how a product works. So I see products from all of the angles, like the helicopter view. I think I was in a conversation to point, one of the organizations I was with, and we were talking, and someone mentioned that Israel sees things from the helicopter view. That's where I got that catchphrase from. So Israel sees things, it looks at everything from the helicopter view. So I look at everything holistically. For this product, I look at the operations that is going to be behind it. I look at the what it is going to be when we start designing, what the flows, I could imagine the flows, I could sketch the flows in my on my I do a lot of sketch on my paper. I could go to Figma, I could do a little bit of designs or put some frames together. I look at everything when we're done with the designs, the development process. How is it going to look like? What does it work with the engineers? What is the stack we're going to use? How reliable is this and that? And then, go down into when we're done with the development of this product, what is it going to look like if we are about to market the product or we're about to sell the product. Then when we move down to say we are once we have started selling, how do we convert customers? How do we do lead qualification? How do we so a lot? How do we go into partnerships? What partnerships would be great? Is it technical partnerships? What kind of partnership would be great to help us push this product forward? So I look at everything from that angle. So for me, um, getting into product management as one of the things I was interested in, or I could do, and still can do, helped me put all of the skill sets that I have gotten or had gotten from all of the other work I've been able to do. Even the same thing. I think I also should have mentioned that I worked in radio. I worked as an on-air personnel for some time. I was a radio producer. So communication, I learned communication through that as well. I was able to build my communication skills. I was able to go through customer success because at the end of the day, you want to, sorry, I'm using a lot of at the end of the day. You want to make sure that when you're interpreting you're helping people get on board on your product, you want to make sure that their experience, customer experience is great. If customer experience is not great, you need to fix something. You as a product manager should be able to stand. If, for example, you have a very, very small team, which I've been in that position a lot of times, and I have a small team, and probably the team is we're doing beta testing, for example, or alpha testing, for example, and just the designers, the engineers, myself, and maybe one other person in the team, and not so we don't have at that time because we're still testing. We don't have anybody to do technical, I mean, customer support or do technical support or whatnot. I assume that role because yeah, communication. I've been able to build that through when I was on radio, all of the other things I was able to do. So bringing all of this together kind of helped me, have a solid foothold in product management. And for anybody that would be looking into getting or starting going into product management, that is very important. Today, you might see a lot of people say, "Okay, I am a product manager," and then what do you do? I just go on and I say, I develop. There's this I like to call it storyboard, but a lot of other people there's a word they use I can't remember right now. A product roadmap, yeah, and yeah. So if you're going to do that or develop that, um, some product managers just go to, okay, this is we're developing a roadmap, or we're developing there's still a word I'm looking for. When I remember, I will mention it. We're developing a roadmap. This is what we think the product should do, but then you don't understand, because as a product manager you are managing the team. You're managing the product, not just the team. You're managing the product. So it is your job and responsibility, or it will be your job and responsibility, to think through everything. How is design going to work? How are the designers going to work that there's not going to be a clash with the engineers? How is the product they're designing not going to be elaborate? And then it is great that the product looks fancy, but then there was someone that made a tweet some time ago and said, what is the usefulness of having a product that looks all fancy and there are so many animations and etc., but the product cannot do the basic things? So you want to make sure that whatever your designers are working on, the user experience is going to be awesome and amazing. If user experience is not great, then nothing else matters in the product. Your product can be just a bunch of black and white frames, and doesn't look catchy. But if you can provide value, of course, that does not mean that your product should not look great. But if that is the barest minimum you could put together at that point, as long as your product has the functionalities, has the flow, has the user experience that can solve problems, that can provide value to your customers, you're a winner. So if you look at, for example, organizations like Microsoft, like even Paystar, and you don't see a lot of elaborate usage of colors, elaborate designs and whatnot, you should think carefully about why those things are not happening. It is because as much as design is great, simplicity is very important. Then the value the product is going to give you is very important. So as a product manager, that is something you have to think about. So Going into product design, being able to look at all of these things, being able to solve problems, being able to bring people together, look through everything from that helicopter view helped me get started in the product management field. So for me, my journey into product started with product design. That's the first thing, because and I believe that every product manager should should be able. So at least it should be, even if you cannot do designs, elaborate designs on Figma, you should be able to imagine what the flow would look like. Because it is at that point that you don't just want to go and command, uh, pardon me, you don't want to go and command features. This is, we want this product to be able to import rice from Thailand, to be able to import cars from this. How is the product going to do that? You don't know, you don't care. The designer is supposed to design it, the engineers are supposed to bring it to life. My job is to write the checklist or write the product roadmap, or whatever the PRD, whatever it is I am writing. Once I put that together, your job is to go and put it together. And my job is to ask you, are you done? No, you're not done. This is my timeline. Then you're developing the timelines. My timeline is this. You're not meeting up with timeline, then you should be sacked. Or you're not meeting up with timeline, you should be written a query. You're slowing down my work. You don't care about the functionalities you give. You're thinking about, you didn't think through the process. So what if your designers work in something and the flow is not great? How are you able to say, I don't think this flow will be great, I don't think a user will like this, I think this CTA should work this way, or that button should work that way, or this text should be, because UX also, you need to be able to write UX for, or do UX writing rather, for your product. If the person that is working, the UX writer on your team, or even the product designer, decides to put some things together, you should be able to look at it from not just text or the product contextual concept at that point. You look deeper into product marketing. How would the text on this website, how would it rank? If people read, they click on this link, will it interpret the exact thing that needs to be done? If the product marketing team is working on ads for this product, will it interpret exactly what the user wants to do just from a glance? So as a product manager, you need to be able to have at least a combination of all of these skills. So product management, in my own personal opinion, I don't think product management, our product manager should just start and stop with, we're developing PRDs, we're doing checklists, you meet my timeline, we launch the product, we onboard users, we seek partnership, and that's it. So you need to be able to think through everything. So I would say, as a product designer, even if you're not, I mean, a product manager, even if you're not great with the user interface or how it works, you should be able to put flows together. You should be able to imagine how user experience would look like. Then you should be able to understand at least the basic things in terms of the technology, in terms of the engineering and the development process. Then I think the other thing I was going to say, or I'm going to say, is that for I think I started talking about strategies anyways, how to stay, how to survive, or how to thrive. Let me not use survive, because if you're surviving, that means you don't love what you're doing and you're basically just forcing yourself to do it. So how to thrive in as a product manager, how to stay grounded as a product manager. You should be able to adapt. You should be able to pick on a couple of other things that would be useful for both you and your team as a whole. So then you should be able to manage your team. Understanding the tasks that are and that you're handing over to your team members is very important in helping them manage, because you don't want to go to a point where your product manager, I mean your product designers are frustrated because they cannot look through, or they cannot think through, because there are times where everybody has blockers. Engineers have blockers, product designers have blockers, and if you're not understanding their language, you don't understand that they're having a blocker, they become frustrated because you are demanding so much from them, and they're having a blocker and they need somebody's help, which could be yours, in figuring out the problems they're having at that point. So being able to communicate effectively make sure that you don't have any clash with your team members. Your team members are not having clashes, and then there's no debate where product designers are fighting engineers. I mean, I don't think I've ever been, any of the teams I've led or the products I've worked on, I don't think there's ever been that issue where product designers are fighting with engineers, because I'm able to manage effectively what the product itself looks like or would look like eventually. So I understand what this person is going to be putting in, what the output would look like, what the processes would look like. So that way I am able to preempt what might happen or where clashes might come from. So as a product manager, that would help you stay understanding the product you're building yourself, because the product ideally should start with you. You should be able to answer questions when your team needs it. Then looking at the product from the helicopter view, that's a great way. Then having communication skills with your stakeholders, with your founders, your co-founders, your investors, your partners, your team, the marketing team, the sales team, the customer support team, the technical support team, the engineers, everybody having a great communication with them rather, would help you stay grounded as a product manager. Because if your team and your stakeholders, they love what you're doing, it means that you're going to be able to grow. So you go from being just a junior product manager or an associate product manager to a senior product manager at some point. Then you grow to become the head of product management or head of product. Then you become the chief product officer. You can decide to go ahead to start your own company. So that if you're able to keep your team together and you understand the product you're building, that helps you to go forward. Then I think the last thing I'm going to mention is that understand the business you are in, the sector you're building for, the customers you're building for, um, um, what you're going to need from those customers, from those users, understand them. So that's understand the business you're in. So everything around even the company you're working with at that time, the goals, the vision of that company, the vision of the product, the vision of everything. You need to be able to look at everything holistically, and that would help you stay grounded. Because when you're able to look at the business, for example, you don't want to build a product that is difficult to acquire clients for. You don't want to build a product, for example, you're building products for real estate, the real estate industry, for example. You don't want to build a product that you're not able to work with all of the stakeholders or the gatekeepers in the real estate industry. Because if you're building a product and you say, I want to stand alone, I want to kick all of the agents out, I want to kick all of the real estate developers out, I want my product to be the only thing that everybody comes for, the gatekeepers will frustrate your effort. Because it is natural for humans to fight back. You need to find a middle ground for everybody involved. Nobody wants to lose their job. The developers, the agents, they don't want to start begging on the street. And then you also need to look at the economic value and economic impact of a product. So if you want your product to be, we want this product to be the go-to, the all-in-one product, and you don't need anything else. And then you make, at the end of the day, every other person that has been existing in that industry before you, they are jobless. Then it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because uh, you're going to be reducing the people you're kicking against might even at some point be your customers. So if you kick against them and you probably drive them out of work or whatnot, then the product will have not so many pleasant remarks or feedback. So you need to make sure that you understand the business you're in. The industry is part of the business, the customers are part of the business, the product itself is part of the business, the resources you're going to need to drive the success of the product from just the idea stage to it going to market and staying in the market and finding product market fit. It is part of the business that you must understand. So I hope that I've been able to share a lot of things as we are. You've been able to pick some things from my experiences. I think perhaps I was supposed to just mention about the if you're transitioning, I think you should see, if you're transitioning from any other field or role right now, that's what I mean, into product management, you should see wherever you're coming from as an advantage. If you've been in tech sales before, see it as an advantage. It helps you to think through the sales process whilst bringing every other element together. And then if you've been an engineer before you want to go into product management, it gives you a great advantage because you understand what the development process is. But you don't focus just on where you have the strength. So by focusing on just one you have the strength, you probably appeal more to engineers, and then the product designers are complaining, they are not able to give you value for it, or they are not able to help you drive the product or the vision you have. So you need to be able to create a balance. So that's how you if you're probably transitioning into product management, that's how you can get ahead. That's how you can stay grounded. So I hope that my short speech, I think I'm over time, my speech has been able to help you find clarity. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask your questions. And then I wish you great success as you get started in product management or you transition into product management. Thank you very much for having me. So if you have questions, you can probably type or you can raise your hand so you can speak, and you can get answers to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Israel. Thank you so much. I always like to hear you talk about your experience, because there's a way you share your story. You have a particular approach to it that it makes it really relatable. And the fact that you have a very broad experience, it makes you the best person to actually get people who are trying to transition into product management. Because just like he said, product management is a very, very strategic role in the tech space, because you're basically working with everybody. You're working with the product designer. You're also working with the product marketer, because the product marketer will definitely need you when they are drafting the go-to-market strategy. And the product marketer will definitely work, the product manager will definitely work with the product marketer to be able to craft the best go-to-market strategy, because go-to-market strategy also affects how the product is, how the people are going to interact with it when it goes out. And when there is an issue, or when there is a survey that has gone out, or when there is a questionnaire that's gone out, the feedback that's come out, and then that means that the marketer needs to collaborate with the product manager to ensure that all of those feedbacks are mirrored in the product. So the product marketer might not interface directly with the developers, but definitely they need to work with the product manager to ensure that the product is working and is meeting the consumer needs. And the product designer is also taking requirements and taking stories and taking directives from the product manager to be able to know what to develop, the products are going to be developed, and all of those things are required. So product management is very, very strategic and very plays a huge role in the life cycle of a product. The job of product manager is never ending. So even when the product is launched, their work is always there. They're always looking out for the best way to enhance the products, to ensure that people are enjoying the product that's being used. In case of want to scale, they want to enhance the product features, but product manager is also there. So there are a lot of roles even within the product management scope. You see a lot of roles coming up these days. I think there's part of growth product manager now, and there are people who are technical product managers, and there are people who have specific core in product management, like let's say AI or health tech. You see a lot of people call themselves their AI product manager. Some people call themselves their product manager, basically focus on health tech sector, and then focus on the edfin or ed tech. Focus on health tech, ed tech, agri-tech. Is it agri-tech or agri-tech? I'm sure that's not what I mean. So there are a lot of people who would have different specialties. And I know Israel also mentioned about knowing your industry. So when it comes to product management, you don't have to want to work in every sector, right? You might not look at what particular industry you're really interested in and start there. And sometimes it requires you to even pick up a particular project that interests you, or pick up a particular product that you like and just analyze it and see how can this thing make it better. I think product managers are people who are curious. They're curious cats. So they're always looking for a solution. They're solution-oriented people looking for a solution to a particular problem. They look at the current economy. How can technology make this economy, this Nigeria better, or this country better, or how can technology make the current problem in my community better? And then they look for and then they collaborate with a solid team of designers and developers to be able to develop and build that product. So they manage every single thing on that particular product. They manage what the designer is working on, what the developer is, and they also, I think there's a key part of product manager that a lot of people don't a lot of people don't see, don't talk about when it comes to product management. I love the fact that you also mentioned that the product manager, you are also looking into the business side of tech as well. You have to understand the business side of tech, because you can't be building a product that is not meeting the business objective and business goals. I know we all of us want that. We always talk about consumer is the king, but no matter what it is, no matter how kingly the consumer is, if the business is not making money, there is no way that the consumer will have something to use. So you have to look at the business side as well. So the product managers also interface with the stakeholders, the business, even influence their decision, right? It influences their decision. So I think someone also told me that product managers are like the CEO of your product. They are the CEO because they're the one that will determine what particular product feature to introduce into the application and how it should look like. The designer can design whatever they want to design and put purple color and indigo color. The product manager does not sign off that this app, this feature, this design is good to go. It will not fly. It can be developed, right? So product manager basically mostly have the final decision, though there are some organizations that there are different hierarchy in product management, that there's a chief product officer, then there's a associate product manager that's from below, there's a junior product manager, then there's the product manager, and there's the head of products, and then there's a chief product officer, and then even after the chief product officer, there is now the VP and the president. So there is a lot of career progression for product management, a lot of career progression for product management, and most likely you see a lot of CEO founders, people who are founders now, you see that they have, some of them have this career track in product design or product management, because product designers are innovators, they are creators, they create things out of the blue, right? They create things, they turn your idea into visual presentations. They turn that imaginations, imagining a house on top of the air, right? So they are building it, and the developers comes in and they make that a reality. So they innovate, right? So, and then there are product managers that manage all of those processes, work in collaborate. So most people that are founders now are often started their career from being a product designer or a product manager, right? So I don't know if you have any questions. So before I keep talking, because I love hearing when product managers speak, and I love what product managers do generally. So it's an exciting field to explore. So if you're a very curious person and you're an innovative thinker and you like to manage, if you love to manage projects, you're curious, you like to see, you see the world in a technological outlook, like that you feel like there are a lot of things, so you feel you're a solution-oriented person and goal-oriented person. And if you're a bit, let's say, I can't remember the right word to use, but basically product management is the right path for you if you're a curious person and you're solution-oriented. So I don't think we have any questions. So thank you very much, Israel, Israel is dropping some other thoughts in the chat. So please read it while we move on to the next session. So thank you so much, Israel. So the next session is I will be facilitating that session. I think I've introduced myself. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Comfort Olatuyi, and I'm the Chief Product Officer for DateNest. So I will be facilitating the session for product marketing. So product marketing for me is a very exciting one. And whenever I'm talking about product marketing, I just smile because it's fun. It's fun because everybody cannot work without me. Everybody cannot work without me, right? So the product manager can manage all the products. So part of me, this is me beefing some product managers. So I'm a product manager as well. I do product management as well. But I always like to beef them because they always, try to, we always have that disputes, product managers and product marketers, because I'll be telling them, this is what the consumer is saying, this is what these people want. And the product manager will be like, no, let's move it to the next MVP. I'll be like, this is what we want now. But the product manager will say, no, it has to be next year. We'll release it next year. So we're always having that dispute, right? But nevertheless, they are superstars and I really appreciate them. But I'll just continue my beef. I'm not accepting any approach from any product manager. So product marketers are like the backbone of a product, just a backbone of powerhouse of products, right? So we basically power the products that the developers have built. Product powering, it means that we drive user adoption and drive client acquisition. So I know a lot of people say marketing is just to create awareness. No, marketing, when it comes to product marketing, you are the chief cornerstone of the product. The success of the product, the success or the failure of the product depends on you. So that responsibility in driving the success of the product is you. You are basically the core person that will drive success of the product. So when the product fails, that is where you see the founders, they will start calling your name, comfort, what's happening? We don't have users. They would not drag the product manager. Yes, some company might drag the product manager for the success of the product as well. Basically, when it's still in the development stage, or probably when features are not being released on time. But when the product is done, product manager is done with the product, they've released the product is now on the app store, or the product is now available. I can't stop beefing you people, so please. So the product is now on the web, right? So the founders would not be pulling the product manager's neck for app installs or user adoptions. They will now be pulling the leg off the product marketers, because it is your responsibility to ensure that people are using the product and people are engaging the product, and also people install the product. So it is quite an exciting journey, because you are part of the process. You are basically bringing someone else's vision to life. You are making you are this part of the success story. So you have like a lot. Like I have a lot of stories for products. So that's why a portfolio of the product marketer can be very, very elaborate, because we are doing a lot of things. We are working. If it is a B2B product, you are driving sales. You are working with the sales people. You are enabling sales. Working with the sales team, and in a position where they don't even have a sales team, right? You are going to be the one to do sales as well, B2B sales, drive client acquisition, look at prospects, also look for partnerships. I worked with a startup where they didn't have a team. I was the only team member. I was the only team member I was the only marketing team. Let me put it that way. I was the only marketing team, me, myself, and I. So, and they had a product that requires me to, drive B2C clients, B2C, as well as B2B. So I had to drive B2C. There was a strategy for B2C was different. The strategy for B2B was also different. So I had to divide myself. So I had to be in that position where I was constantly driving app installs and constantly driving people to install the app. But when people install the app, they will not be the one to provide the service, right? It will be this B2B client that would provide these services. So I had to ensure that we add all the vendors, all the partners on the application as well. So that means that I had to facilitate partnerships and facilitate acquisition of those partners and onboarding of those partners. Though the onboarding was collaboration between myself and the product manager as well. So as a product manager, as a product marketer, I just want to know that you are responsible for the success of the product. And when you understand that, it gives you that sense of pride and sense of fulfillment. So basically, if you are someone who is growth driven, and you take pride in delivering exceptional work and the things that you do, please move to product marketing, because product marketing needs people who are growth driven and people who basically take pride in the things that they do. That way, you are able to deliver excellent work. So let's look at the skills that is required for product marketers. So what made I didn't start my career in the tech space as a product marketer, right? I started as a product manager, my career as a product manager. So I can be both. But how was I able to transition into product marketing? Was because I had background knowledge. I had experience in general marketing, like content creation, digital marketing, content marketing, SEO, digital advertising, PR, communications, and all of those. So it made it quite easy for me to transition into product marketing. So what I now needed to learn was the technical aspect of product marketing. Because product marketing also have its own technical aspect, and that is where you are now looking at working with attribution tools and also leveraging data analytics tools to track the progress of your applications and of the, if you're using the website, to track the progress or the engagement or the traffic of your website. If it's mobile app, attribution tools to track engagement within the applications. So that was the things that I needed to learn. So it was quite easy for me because I learned pretty fast, and I was able to take some courses. I was able to guide me in all of those courses. So if you have experience in digital marketing, you can easily transition into product marketing. If you have experience as a content marketer, you can easily transition into product marketing. If you have experience as a digital social media manager, you can easily transition into product marketing. But there are core skills that you might need to still develop, because as a product marketing manager, your responsibility is also you'll be responsible to creating strategies. Strategies in terms of go-to-market strategy. Go-to-market strategy means that how do you want to enter the market, right? How you want to enter the market. Let's say now the product is launched. The developer, they finished developing the product. They're done with the development, the design, and all of those. So now, how do you want to enter the market? So what are the strategies that you want to adopt to enter into the market? The market means that how do you get into the health tech? If it's an health tech app, how do you get into the health tech industry? How do you drive user adoption, people to use your product, people to even install your product? So all of those things are part of go-to-market strategy. And your go-to-market strategy also includes even pricing, right? Because how you want to enter the market, pricing can also be a huge factor on the success of your product, So it means that you have to collaborate with the head of products as well as the stakeholders to determine the best way to price their product. Because if the current market value of a particular product is 1,000 naira, and out of the blue, you enter the market with 5,000 naira or 2,000 naira, people will be wondering, and your product is not so different from what is existing in the market. It means that user adoption or client adoption might be stifled. So that means that you need to conduct user research. Do your research properly to determine what particular pricing. I think research is one of the constant things that everyone have said during today. Victoria said, talk about user research. Israel also mentioned research, and I've also mentioned research. So it is very, very important in the tech space. Research is key, right? It's very, very important in the tech space. You must ensure that you are conducting research to guide the decisions that you're making. They call it data-driven decision, right? Data-driven approach. So you must explore data-driven approach in every single thing that you're doing. Even developers too tend to employ data-driven approach to their decision makings as well. So as a product marketer, if you have the capacity, if you have content creation skills, you have social media skills, you have digital marketing skills, you have SEO skills, it's going to be seamless for you to transition into product marketing. But even if you don't have those skills, right? Even if you don't have, that is how it was easier for me. But even if you don't have those skills, there are courses that would actually put you through all the process, take you through all the process, from content marketing to digital advertising to SEO to even data analytics as well. Because product marketing, you might need to understand a little bit about data analytics so that you're able to manage. I'm not talking about the rigorous data analytics one where you're using SQL and all, but I'm talking about the one where you are leveraging attribution tools like AppsFlyer, Mixpanel, and also leveraging analytical tools like Google Analytics. There's also Firebase as well, and some other analytical tools that would guide you in your decision as well. So are you able to read those data and translate it into strategy for your product? So And also, there are other skills as well for product marketers. Sometimes some of them are like, let's say, video editing, content creation. But trust me, I'm just saying all of these things because I don't know, depending on the industry that the company you're entering in. For me, the startup that I worked with required me to be the only marketing team. So all of those skills that I had came in handy for me and made my work seamless. The company didn't have the funds to be able to, you know, employ a designer or a video editor or any other member of the team. So I was the marketing team. But there are some organizations that your job is just to drive strategy. You have team managing the execution. You have your social media managers, you have your content creators, you have your creative artists and your creative designers and your video editors. So, but the most important part of product marketing is strategy, right? So you have to ensure that your strategy is backed by data and you're always conducting research. For example, if you want to drive a campaign for a fundraising application, right? Fundraising website. It means that you need to do your research and understand what are those things that people really want to hear. How do you convince people in this current in Nigeria? Let's say in Nigeria right now that there's a lot of storm that people find it difficult to drop money. So how do you now get them to fund, to invest or donate to that campaign? They probably support the campaign that you want to come up with. So, and that's part of looking at, okay, their buying behavior, their psychography, looking at how their emotional state, how you can leverage storytelling and content marketing, leveraging the emotions of people. What particular message would drive these people? And that is where brand positioning comes in, and also messaging, because that is something that you need to also understand. So if you're coming up with the right message for that particular product, it means that you need to conduct your research to be able to understand what particular message would drive conversion. So like I said before, product marketing is a very, very exciting role, exciting space to be in, because you're basically responsible for the success and the failure of a product. So I'm not going to take much of a time. I think I'm even done with my talk for today, right? Because it requires you to actually be in that space for you to actually enjoy working there. And it requires some level of understanding of the concept of marketing for you to actually enjoy working as a product marketing manager, because it comes with a lot of responsibility. And if you're that person where you don't like being held accountable, you might find difficulty working in product marketing space. Because imagine, because I saw a tweet yesterday. No, is it a tweet or no? It's on Instagram reel about when a lady was talking about how everyone is expecting the marketer to drive acquisition, but is the app working? Is the app working? Are the features functional? Right? When people click on a particular button, is it working? So, because there are a lot of things that affect, but a lot that affects the client acquisition and user adoption, but not every founders would understand the reason behind the failure of marketing. And that is where you also need to be someone who can defend your work, not defend your work in a rude way, but actually be able to talk about, understand your work and talk about the things that are actually affecting your product, providing detailed feedbacks and reporting. And that is where your analytics tools comes in, your attribution tools, because those tools will let you know where the user is stuck. For example, if a user, let me take Jumia for example. Let me use Bolt application. For example, I open the Bolt application and then I type in my location. And then by the time I click on the accept button, like the button the confirm button, that I'm ready to go, and but the button is not working, that attribution tool will let me know that this is where the user stopped. So that way I'm able to track, and if I'm having 10, 500 people getting stuck at that particular location, that is a nudge, an alert for me to actually call the attention of the product team, of the technical team, to look at that particular functionality. Or probably I myself, I go there and also check. But there have been situations where you would see that the application is not working. I think there was a time where we launched a particular product as well, where it was we were able to log in, but some people within a particular state were unable to sign up. And also some people were unable to authenticate. And that means that all of those tools help you to be able to, see that. And the fact that these people are unable to do that means that your acquisition process is stopped. Nobody there is, because the key metrics for product marketing are not always app installs. It's not app installs, right? It's always because for an application that have subscription, it means that you have to look at the subscription number of people that are subscribed on the product, number of people who are, the retention rate as well, people who stay on the product, learn how people are leaving the product, leaving the application, are people coming back, the returning number of returning customers, and even people engaging in the product. People might not be engaging the product probably because they don't understand the product, and that's where the UX part comes in, user experience. So if the product is not easy to understand, they might not be able to use it, and that is where the product marketer would now start coming up with content, educative content, to train people on how to use the product. You must have seen videos about how to log in, how to sign up, how to use a particular functionality of a particular product. That is basically the product marketer trying to increase user engagement in the application, because the major reason for people not using your application might mostly 90% of it comes from user experience, and also they do not understand how to actually use that particular functionalities in the product. So you see that the success of that particular product relies on the product marketer. The product marketer is not someone who is attentive. You miss out on a lot of things. So we miss out a lot of things. So I think that is basically all that I have to say today. So if you're looking to venture into product marketing, ensure that you are someone who can be, you don't mind being held accountable for the success and failure of something, and ensure that you enjoy interfacing with customers and interfacing with stakeholders as well. So if you're in the customer service experience, product marketing can be a good fit for you, because you understand how people interact generally. And even if you're in the sales, if you're in sales as well, product marketing would also be a great fit for you as well. If you're a project manager, product marketing would also be a great fit for you. And if you're a content creator, content creator, digital marketing professional, or you're an SEO specialist, product marketing would also be a great fit for you, right? So I don't know if I have any question, but if you don't have any question, we'll just proceed to the next stage of this. So if you have any question, please feel free to drop your comment in the section, in the session, or unmute your mic to speak so that we can take your question. Okay, so basically, academia have 30% discount for every single person that is on this call, that's taking this course. So if you're really looking to try and get a career in product marketing, you're looking to have a career in product management, you're looking to have a career in product design, we have outstanding facilitators that would be training you and providing you with hands-on experience on this career. So part of the courses, part of the benefit of the courses is that you get your certificate, you get a certificate for the courses that you take. You get internship. There's internship available for the top 5 talents. It means that you have opportunity to intern in a tech startup, and also you have opportunities to have 6-month mentorship with someone who would actually walk you through, even after the program. Someone would walk you through and be with you to guide you through your process. And there would also be career mentorship for every single person who is a participant for the program. So I think we have come to the end of today's session. So please, if you're If you haven't joined the WhatsApp group, join the WhatsApp group so that you can get information and also get access to the discount code for the class. So thank you very much, everyone. And thank you very much, Israel. And we'll also extend our thanks to Victoria. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's class. Till we meet again next time, please enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Bye.